What's up, beautiful people? Jen here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jenna Lee, aka Jen Sparkly, commander of the Sparkle Army. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel and hanging out in my little corner of the internet. If you're not new here, you can probably tell by my tone of voice that I'm not in the best mood, and there's an excellent reason for that. Little backstory here. A couple of months ago, a young professional skank from Jersey named Harley Barber was a student at the University of Alabama in the northernmost part of my home state, and decided to go on a racist tirade, not once but twice, and upload it to the internet not once but twice, and actually use the excuse, "I'm in the South now," as though that is a panacea for all and any repercussions for being racist. I went on to explain that contrary to popular belief and assumption, there are progressive thinking people in Alabama. So what happens this week? Saraland Police Department decided that the best way to arrest a young girl was to threaten to break her arm, force her to the ground in a position which pulled her top down and exposed her to a room full of people. Delightful. Point of clarification, I am a resident of Mobile, Alabama, born and raised here, and the area in which this particular incident took place is about 7 minutes from my front door. The city of Saraland is pretty well known to people who don't live there as one of those old vestiges of times gone by. Predominantly white area, extraordinarily arrogant for no apparent reason. The people of Saraland seem to have this ego about them as though they are somehow superior to others, and it shows with their police department. 25-year-old Shaikisha Clemens was dining at a Waffle House establishment. And for those who don't know, Waffle House, if fine dining is here, Waffle House is 3 states over. What does that tell you? Okay? Anyway, she asks for plastic silverware, and the waitress tells her there'll be a 50-cent charge. Now, I have 10 plus years of restaurant experience, and in no point ever have I ever charged a customer, a guest, for to-go utensils. I've never in my life heard of that. Never. Some restaurants do charge a to-go charge, but that's technically to cover the bag, the time of the server used to take your phone or to-go order, the containers, the cups, and then maybe the silverware. But typically, that entire charge is about 50 cents. So, expecting this girl to pay 50 cents for a set of plastic silverware, it was just petty and unnecessary. Period, point blank. And the girl said, "Well, you know, I ate here last week and didn't have to pay. I've eaten here before and I didn't have to pay. Why can't I just have a set of utensils?" To which the waitress, instead of just saying, "You know what, let me just take care of that for you," decides to fight with her and yell at her. So, of course, an argument takes place. Miss Clemens then asks for the corporate phone number to the Waffle House office. The waitress, already showing what exemplary customer service she's capable of, refuses. She actually refused. Never mind that it's her job. But apparently she is not very well versed on what her job is, because at no point in this interaction does it appear that she properly did her job. Be that as it may, the woman insists, Miss Clemens insists, "I want the phone number." The waitress tries to peddle some flimsy excuse of, "We don't give out personal information," to which Miss Clemens says, "I'm not asking for personal information. I'm asking for your corporate hotline." Every corporation has one. It's a 1-800 number. It's posted in several conspicuous locations in the restaurant. Literally, fantastic server mixed shitty pants. All she had to do was literally probably walk into the office, look at the wall, and recite it. But she couldn't be bothered to do that. So they call the law instead. No questions asked. Cop comes in, snatches Miss Clemens by the arm, shoves her down into the ground. The woman asks why she's being detained. The cop says, "Shut up or I will break your arm." Delightful. In forcing her to the ground and turning her over, Miss Clemens' top comes down and exposes her breasts to everyone in the restaurant, the waitstaff, the other police officers, and any passersby. Do I really need to point out the problem here? And as someone who lives in this area, I have already read publicly posted witness statements. Cops have tried to claim that Miss Clemens has an extensive arrest record. So because she got arrested this time or this time, you're just supposed to be brutal to her every time you encounter her? Last time I checked, that's not how that works. That's not how that works at all. Ever. And then they've tried to peddle she was intoxicated. Numerous eyewitnesses stated, no, she wasn't. She wasn't slurring her words. She did not reek of alcohol, and she was not behaving as though she was intoxicated. And numerous eyewitnesses have nothing to gain from saying something either way. They're telling the truth based on their recollection. So, as much as I want to fight for the state of Alabama and talk about how progressive we are, once again, I guess I must reiterate that I know I'm in the minority here. And it's incidents like this that make me just want to pull my hair out. And I'll tell you why. I have experience with Saraland police. Let me tell you about it. 3 or 4 years ago, I'm driving home. I get off the interstate on exit 13 off I-65 onto Industrial Parkway, also known as Highway 158, which runs all the way through Saraland up to where I live, which is technically not Saraland. I live in Sims. As I'm driving, I drive through a green light, and there's a police officer stopped at the red light going the other way. Well, as I go through this intersection, I see the cop flip his lights on and get behind me. He pulls me over and says, "Miss Lee, do you know why I pulled you over?" And I said, "Well, I wasn't speeding. My tag is legal and here's my proof of insurance." "No, sir, I have no idea why you pulled me over." He proceeds to say this, and I quote, "Well, when you drove past my car, you gave me a look that just seemed a little suspicious, so I thought I might need to check it out." You think I gave you a look driving past you? Dude, I was singing along with the radio. If you're so offended by "I Want to Dance with Somebody" by Whitney Houston, take it up with Arista Records. That ain't on me. I happen to like the song and will continue to sing along with it when I drive. There's more. There's another incident. A couple years later, I'm driving to work. And at this point, I'm driving Sadie, my old car. And everyone who knows me watching this probably laughed when I said Sadie, because Sadie was well known. Sadie was my 1997 Hunter Green Saturn SC2. Sadie had been through a lot, had a gaping hole in the side where a woman had run a stop sign and hit me, had no passenger window, and a rusted out hood. This was an extremely identifiable car. That's an important detail. Stick with me here. I get pulled over. Cop asks me to get out of my car. Asks me where I was the night before. I ask, "What is this pertaining to?" I get no answer. I get handcuffed. I get put in the backseat of a cop car. State trooper pulls up, I can't hear what he's saying to the cop. Cop walks over and apologizes. No, I'm sorry. Tells me to stand up, unhooks, and said, sorry, honest mistake. As it turns out, a woman had stolen from a gas station the night before. She was 11 years younger than me, completely different complexion, completely different skin tone, completely different hair color, and she drove a black 2006 Saturn with tinted windows and rims. Honest mistake? Now let me be clear. I understand that there is a need for police. I understand that there is a need for law enforcement, and I am grateful for the ones who do their jobs the right way. I have encountered numerous police officers and state troopers who have been complete gentlemen and complete honest citizens. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is we can't keep saying when something like this happens, oh, but there's good cops too. The ones who are standing by and letting this happen and not turning in their coworker, they're not good cops. The ones who witness things like this happening and not speaking up, they're not good cops. Y'all want to hear another story about Saraland police? Let me tell you another story about them. This is like 2003, 2004. My brother was a wild child Mahellian. We both were. We admit it. My brother was leaving a party one night. Gets pulled over. Yes, he'd been drinking, so yes, he got a DUI. My mom and dad are called. They show up. Cop looks dead nuts eye to eye with my mother and says, yeah, found a little bag of weed on a car pulled over earlier, so I just went ahead and threw it in there too. Yuck, 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 yuck. My mother said, thanks. That too will go in my complaint against you. Do y'all get where I'm going with this? This is not an isolated incident. This is not an oopsie. This is not uncharacteristic. This falls 100% in line with everything I've ever seen of them. Y'all want to know another thing? Here's a fun thing. If you get a speeding ticket in Saraland, you go to court to pay it off. Anyone knows if you've ever gotten a ticket, you're always given pretty much ample time to pay it off, and Saraland does give you ample time to pay it off. But here's the kicker. They put you on informal probation, literal probation paperwork until you pay it off. When you make your payments, not only do you have to check in with the courthouse, but you actually have to check in with the probation office. When you finish paying off your ticket, you have to physically go to the probation office and show them that you've paid it off. Informal probation for a $65 ticket. I could actually go on as I have more stories of people's clothes being dumped on the side of the road, a Sunday school teacher being accused of selling drugs. I could go on. I don't really know what the solution is. And honestly, I'm a little bit afraid making this video because I'm a little bit afraid that they're going to target me now for even speaking about this. But y'all know me, I can't not talk. My apologies to Miss Clemens. Please know that there are those of us who think rationally and don't just fall in line with whatever we're told. There are some of us who question things, and regardless of your prior arrest record, you are still entitled to basic human rights and basic human decency. And I'm sorry that you were not given even a modicum of that. And it's getting harder for me to convince people that there are progressive thinking people in Alabama when stories like this, you realize that I had friends sending me links to this article. A friend of mine who lives in Canada sent it to me. A friend of mine who lives in London, England, saw it and sent it to me. This woman's business has been spread all over the world. Delightful. Stay classy, Saraland. Stay classy.